The biggest World Cup in football history is approaching, and FIFA may already be losing control. What was supposed to be football's ultimate global celebration is rapidly turning into something far more dangerous. Across multiple countries, supporters are backing out, political tensions are escalating, travel fears are spreading, and behind FIFA's polished public confidence, warning signs are multiplying fast. This was meant to be the tournament that changed football forever. 48 nations, 3 host countries, record-breaking crowds. A spectacle designed to prove the World Cup had entered a new era. Instead, a different story is beginning to take shape. Fans are canceling plans. Questions over border access continue to grow. Entire sections of supporters fear they may never reach the stadiums at all. And as controversy builds from every direction, one uncomfortable possibility is becoming impossible to ignore. What if FIFA's biggest World Cup becomes its biggest mistake? The tournament will happen, the lights will turn on, the anthems will play, but hanging over everything is a question FIFA can no longer avoid. Is World Cup 2026 heading toward historic success or historic chaos? And that's where FIFA's biggest problem begins. Every World Cup faces challenges. Political disagreements, logistical problems, and unexpected controversies have followed football tournaments for decades. But what makes 2026 different is the sheer number of issues arriving at exactly the same time. Instead of discussions about tactics, star players, and title favorites, headlines increasingly focus on government policies, international tensions, travel restrictions, and social conflicts. For FIFA, this is dangerous because the organization's greatest strength has always been its ability to place football above everything else. For 1 month every 4 years, the sport becomes the center of global attention. Politics fades into the background, rivalries are settled on the pitch, and fans unite behind their teams. But this time, the outside world keeps pulling attention away from the game itself. Every week brings another controversy. Every controversy creates another headline. And every headline makes it harder for FIFA to control the narrative. The organization can manage schedules, it can organize stadiums, it can coordinate broadcasting rights. What it cannot control is the political climate surrounding the event. That climate is becoming increasingly unpredictable. As kickoff approaches, FIFA finds itself in an uncomfortable position. The tournament is ready. The infrastructure is mostly ready. But the conversation surrounding the tournament is moving in a direction FIFA never intended. Then another warning sign appeared. World Cups are built on momentum. Long before the first match begins, excitement is supposed to spread across continents. Flights become expensive. Hotels become difficult to book. Restaurants prepare for record crowds. Entire cities transform themselves around the expectation of millions of visitors. That is the traditional World Cup formula. Yet, reports emerging from several host cities suggest reality may be more complicated. Businesses prepared for enormous demand. Hotel operators reserved massive room blocks. Prices increased in anticipation of international visitors arriving from every corner of the planet, but expectations and reality do not always match. Some tourism operators have reported softer demand than anticipated. Others have adjusted prices in order to attract bookings. This creates a serious perception issue. The World Cup thrives on the belief that everyone wants to be there. The moment fans begin hearing stories about empty rooms or weaker demand, doubts start appearing. Those doubts spread quickly through social media. Potential travelers start asking whether they should spend thousands of dollars on flights, accommodation, and tickets. The perception of overwhelming demand is one of FIFA's greatest marketing tools. When that perception weakens, the tournament faces a challenge that statistics alone cannot solve. Because football fans are emotional consumers, they want to feel part of something historic. If they believe others are staying home, some of them may decide to stay home as well. Whether those fears are justified or not becomes almost irrelevant. The narrative itself becomes the story. But then came a problem far more sensitive. Football calls itself the world's game. The World Cup is supposed to represent global unity through competition. Fans travel thousands of miles to support their nations. Entire generations save money for years to experience a single tournament. Yet for many supporters, attending the 2026 World Cup is becoming about far more than simply purchasing a ticket. International travel has become one of the most discussed aspects of the tournament. Visa requirements, border procedures, security checks, and entry regulations are now central parts of the conversation. Every nation has legitimate security concerns. Every country has the right to enforce its immigration policies, but when the world's biggest sporting event depends on international visitors, those policies inevitably become part of the tournament experience. Fans don't simply evaluate match tickets anymore. They evaluate uncertainty. They evaluate risk. They evaluate whether the process of entering the host country is worth the effort. That hesitation matters. The World Cup atmosphere depends on traveling supporters, the colors, the chants, the emotion, the cultural exchange. Remove enough international fans from the equation, and something important changes. The tournament may still be successful, stadiums may still fill, but the atmosphere becomes different. FIFA understands this better than anyone. The organization knows the World Cup is not simply a football competition. It is a global gathering, and any factor that reduces participation threatens the very identity of the event. And then attention shifted to the host nation itself. Historically, host countries enjoy a unique advantage. Home crowds create energy, familiar environments reduce pressure, supporters transform stadiums into fortresses. Yet recent matches involving the United States have revealed an unusual pattern. Visiting teams often appear to enjoy enormous support. In some stadiums, opposition fans dominate entire sections. In others, the atmosphere feels almost neutral, despite the United States technically being at home. This phenomenon reflects America's unique demographics and football culture. Millions of people living in the United States maintain strong connections to other football nations. Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Germany, England. Their support follows them into stadiums. The result is an environment unlike almost any other host nation in World Cup history. American players may discover that home advantage looks very different in 2026. Instead of overwhelming national support, they could find themselves competing in mixed atmospheres where multiple football cultures collide at once. For neutral fans, that may create an incredible spectacle. For the host nation, it creates uncertainty, because home advantage has historically played a major role in World Cup success. Remove part of that advantage, and expectations become harder to predict. Suddenly, the pressure on the United States men's national team becomes even greater. And then there is the challenge that ignores politics entirely. Whether, no negotiation, no compromise, no emergency meeting, no political solution. Summer heat across parts of North America has become one of the tournament's most closely watched variables. Sports scientists have repeatedly warned about the risks associated with extreme temperatures. Football is already physically demanding. The World Cup pushes athletes to their limits. Add intense summer heat and those limits become even more difficult to manage. FIFA has prepared mitigation strategies, hydration breaks, medical monitoring, scheduling adjustments where possible, yet concerns remain. The problem is simple. Every heat-related incident instantly becomes international news. Every exhausted player becomes a headline. Every medical emergency becomes part of the global conversation. FIFA hopes these concerns prove exaggerated. Organizers believe preparations will be sufficient, but unlike scheduling disputes or political controversies, weather operates on its own terms. Once the tournament begins, nature becomes another participant, and unlike any competing nation, nature cannot be defeated. The remarkable thing about the 2026 World Cup is that none of these issues are likely to stop the tournament. The matches will be played, the stadiums will open, the anthem will be heard around the world. Billions of viewers will tune in, football's greatest spectacle will arrive exactly as planned. But success is not measured by kickoff, success is measured by legacy. Years from now, nobody will remember how many planning meetings FIFA organized. Nobody will remember how many press releases were published. People will remember the story. Every World Cup leaves behind a defining narrative. In 2026, that narrative has not been written yet. Perhaps football overwhelms every controversy. Perhaps unforgettable matches erase every concern. Perhaps the tournament becomes the greatest celebration FIFA has ever produced. But there is another possibility. The controversies dominating today's headlines may become impossible to separate from the tournament itself. Travel restrictions, political tension, tourism concerns, security debates, climate warnings, public skepticism. Each issue may seem manageable on its own. Together, they create something much larger. Few days before kickoff, FIFA faces a reality it never expected. The organization no longer controls the conversation, the world does. And as the countdown continues, the biggest question is not whether the World Cup is ready. The biggest question is whether football can once again become the main story